Guys, how did you mess up trying to impress the hottie? Do you want me to relive the most embarrassing moment of my life? It happened back in high school when a new girl transferred from Europe and her classes happened to coincide with mine. From what I gathered, in Europe, everything's focused on education, not sports, because this girl knew everything and sometimes even challenged the teachers, which they weren't thrilled about. So we had this chemistry class, and when I ended up paired with her, I said, "Hey, want to learn how to make a love potion?" She played along and nodded. But when I grabbed two weird flasks and started mixing them, she took 2 steps back. A second later, I was covered in foam that smelled like rotten eggs and then got scolded. She just casually added, "Mixing potassium iodide with cyanide, you'll just become another Romeo," hinting at death. That's when I realized it was better to stick to girls who were into sports, not this science stuff. I was chilling at the beach, taking a break from work, when I spotted 2 girls looking at the inflatable water mattress. They clearly wanted to try it out, but were scared, so I walked over and said, "Maybe if there's a guy with you, it won't be so scary." We sat down, and with confidence, I told the driver to go full speed. We were literally yanked from the shore and started jumping over waves. I was scared I was going to fly off into the ocean, and when I looked at the girl, all I saw was a smile in her eyes, and if she could have shouted against the wind, she probably would have said, "Go faster." I held onto that inflatable death trap harder than my mom's womb and spent the worst 4 minutes of my life. When we finally stopped, I went off to puke, and she, seeing that, quickly grabbed her friend and rushed off, pretending like we'd never met. That was in high school. They gathered us in the gym and asked who could do acrobatic tricks for the school's annual show. A senior girl was directing, and I volunteered because I did gymnastics as a kid and could still pull off a somersault. On the first training day, she came up to me and asked, "Can you do a flip off another guy's shoulders?" I said, "No problem, I could do it off too." So I climbed onto one football player's shoulders, and she said, "On my signal." I took off, forgetting I had to rotate my body, and by the time I remembered, it was too late. I ended up landing on the brand new gym floor, and the rest of the day was spent in the hospital because I broke my arm. You know the first thing that girl said was? First, she was like, "You're such an idiot," and then, "Oh, that must hurt." This happened with my girlfriend when we went to the annual carnival where there was a haunted house that my sweetheart dragged me into. I'm not a fan of horror movies, I'm more into comedies and dramas, and I didn't want to go to such a creepy place at all, but I had no choice. I had to show her who was boss here. We went in, and the first thing I said to her was, "I won't even make a sound. I don't think they have anything that could scare me." And just then, a net of fake spiders fell on us. Thank God they weren't real. I was already shaking, walking with one eye half closed because it cuts the chances of seeing something scary by 50%. We barely made it halfway through when something happened that I'll never forget. We entered a narrow hallway, and the door behind us slammed shut instantly, and a light turned on at the end of the room. We started walking slowly, and when we were about 5 meters from the exit, out of nowhere, under the one flickering lamp, a guy in a dead cow mask with an axe appeared. On one hand, I knew it was just an actor, but on the other hand, I remembered how every horror movie starts, with no one suspecting the killer standing right next to them. My girlfriend freaked out and grabbed my hand, and that's when I realized it wasn't love, and I wasn't ready to die for her. I hit her hand to get her off me, and ran back to the locked door. I didn't know what was happening behind me or if my girlfriend was still alive. All I cared about was the door and getting out through the entrance. I couldn't do anything for her, and the moment came when the guy with the axe was right on top of me. I begged him not to kill me, threw my wallet out of my pocket, and sat down in the corner, starting to cry. He took off his mask and told me to calm down, that it was just a prank, but by then, I had already shit myself. I know it's hard to believe that a 22-year-old guy crapped his pants, but it's the truth. I walked out of that room in shame, and everyone in the line took pictures of me to share with their friends. My girlfriend was pissed at me, but what pissed her off wasn't the slap to her hand or the giant bruise, it was that I abandoned her. So yeah, that day, I lost my girlfriend and my manhood. I'm a skateboarder, and once I caught a credit card, you know, when your boar's stacked between your legs, when I got distracted by a girl during a trick. I remember that summer day with a nice breeze and a morning message from a girl about meeting up that evening. I went to our spot near the beach with my friend, and we were skating when he nudged me and said, "Hey, isn't that your girl?" That's when I thought to myself, I need to step it up and do a cool trick in front of her, then stop and talk. Everything in my head was perfect, so I started skating toward her. When I was about 2 meters away, I crouched down and did a flip on the board, but instead of looking at my feet, I looked at her like, "Look how cool I am." I stopped to check her out when I suddenly felt something weird between my legs. It turned out the board had flipped sideways and was stuck there. I twisted and fell, and when she came over to me, I said, "Not today." At the beach, I went up to 2 girls who were sunbathing because one of them caught my eye. While we were chatting, she invited me to sit down. As soon as I dropped down onto the towel, I felt something soft and warm under my butt. I felt it with my hand, brought it up to my face, and realized I had sat in dog poop. The girl immediately had a gag reflex and threw up. Guess where? Of course, right on me. There I was, covered in puke and with a dog poop stain on my backside, walking 200 meters to the shower, getting all sorts of lovely comments from people walking by.